He was a British Air Force pilot, a man in uniform serving his country during its darkest hour. Gordon Cummins projected an image of charm and impeccable manners, a seemingly respectable figure. Yet beneath this polished exterior lurked a monstrous secret. He would become known as the Blackout Ripper, a name that struck terror into the hearts of Londoners. While the city braced for German bombs, Cummins exploited the very precautions meant to protect them. The wartime blackout became his hunting ground. In the suffocating darkness, he committed a series of brutal and shocking murders. His victims were vulnerable women, caught unaware in the city's obscured streets and shelters. The terror he inflicted was a different kind of warfare, waged against civilians by one of their own. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Gordon Cummins was born into a family of means, affording him a privileged start in life. He carefully cultivated an image of sophistication and allure, a facade that served him well. This cultivated persona was a tool he used to manipulate and ensnare his unsuspecting victims. He was married to Marjorie, but their relationship was strained by his frequent absences. His duties with the Royal Air Force often took him away from home. While serving, he maintained a parallel life in the city, one hidden from his wife and colleagues. This double existence allowed his dark impulses to fester and grow. The respectable pilot was merely a mask for the predator lurking beneath. He moved between these two worlds with chilling ease, his true nature concealed by the uniform and the darkness. The horrific crimes began in earnest in February 1942. London was deep in the grip of wartime austerity and the ever-present threat of air raids. It was against this backdrop of fear that the Blackout Ripper made his debut. His first known victim was Evelyn Hamilton. She was found strangled in an air raid shelter, a place meant for safety, turned into a scene of horror. This initial act of violence was just the beginning of a terrifying spree. Over the next few days, the violence escalated with horrifying speed. Cummins murdered 3 more women in quick succession. Their names were Evelyn Oatley, Margaret Florence Lowe, and Doris Uene. Each death added to the growing panic gripping the city. Cummins's method of killing was consistently brutal. His modus operandi involved strangulation, often carried out with extreme force. But the horror did not end there. His crimes also included acts of sexual mutilation. He displayed a chilling and absolute disregard for human life. His victims were subjected to unspeakable indignities in their final moments. The sheer savagery of the attacks left investigators and the public reeling. The chaos and darkness of the wartime blackout provided him with perfect cover. He moved through the obscured streets like a phantom, unseen and unheard. The city's defense against the enemy became his shield. He specifically targeted vulnerable women, often sex workers or those caught out late. They were easy prey in a city where trust was fragile and danger lurked in the shadows. The blackout created an environment where such predators could thrive. The police were initially baffled by the sudden spate of murders. The lack of witnesses and the cover of darkness made their task incredibly difficult. However, as the pattern of violence emerged, they began to connect the seemingly disparate crimes. Investigators meticulously combed the crime scenes for any scrap of evidence. At one location, a crucial clue was discovered, a can opener left behind. Forensic analysis revealed fingerprints on the discarded tool. Further examination of the victims and the crime scenes yielded more insights. Coroner's reports provided vital information about the nature of the attacks. These reports strongly suggested that the killer was left-handed. The combination of the fingerprints and the detail about the killer's handedness narrowed the search. Police now had concrete forensic evidence to pursue. The net was slowly beginning to tighten around the unknown assailant. The Blackout Ripper's reign of terror came to an abrupt end. He attacked a woman named Greta Hayward, but his assault was interrupted. A delivery man unexpectedly arrived, startling the attacker. In his haste to escape, Cummins dropped a vital piece of evidence. He left behind his gas mask, a mandatory item during the blackout. The gas mask bore his name and rank, Aircraftman Second Class Gordon Cummins. The witness, Greta Hayward, provided police with a detailed description of her attacker. This description, combined with the name on the gas mask, quickly led the police to Cummins. They knew who they were looking for. Before his capture, Cummins attempted to silence another potential victim, Catherine Mulcahy. Fortunately, this attempt was unsuccessful. The police were already closing in, acting swiftly on the information they had. When police apprehended Cummins, they searched his belongings. Their search yielded horrifying proof of his guilt. They discovered items belonging to his victims among his possessions. Fingerprint analysis confirmed the match between the prints on the can opener and Cummins's own. The evidence was now undeniable. The charming pilot was unmasked as the brutal Blackout Ripper. The evidence against Gordon Cummins was overwhelming and damning. The recovered items, the fingerprints, the witness testimony, and the gas mask all pointed directly to him. His carefully constructed facade crumbled under the weight of the proof. Despite the mountain of evidence, Cummins entered a plea of not guilty. He maintained his innocence, a final act of deception. However, his plea was futile in the face of the facts presented. The trial was swift, reflecting the urgency of wartime justice and the clarity of the evidence. The jury did not take long to reach their verdict. Gordon Cummins was swiftly convicted of his heinous crimes. He was found guilty of 4 counts of murder. The court also convicted him of 2 counts of attempted murder. The verdict sealed his fate, bringing an end to his brief but terrifying spree. Gordon Cummins was sentenced to death. The penalty for such crimes was clear and absolute. There would be no reprieve for the Blackout Ripper. His execution was carried out by the renowned hangman, Albert Pierrepoint. In a grim twist of fate, the execution occurred during an air raid, the very condition that had enabled his crimes. The sound of bombs falling outside the prison walls marked the end of his life. The execution of Gordon Cummins brought a definitive end to the Blackout Ripper's reign of terror. London could breathe a small sigh of relief, knowing the man who had exploited their fear and the darkness was gone. But the memory of his brutality lingered, a dark stain on the history of the London Blackout.